Folklore has spent 3 centuries painting Edward Teach as a blood-soaked monster, a man with fire in his beard and chaos in his wake. Yet the historical records tell a different story. Before his final stand, there is no record of Edward Teach actually killing anyone. Teach relied on precision and logic, using instruments like this Davis quadrant to manage his fleet with the focus of a maritime navigator. The stories of the monster in the smoke were part of a deliberate operational framework. In 1713, after the Treaty of Utrecht, wages for ordinary sailors dropped by more than half. Thousands of skilled privateers were left with no legal income. This crash pushed a generation of veterans toward the lawless harbor of Nassau. When Teach arrived, he saw that the region's trade routes could be managed as a structured business, fueled by a supply of men who had been priced out of the legal market. Piracy became a response to a labor crisis, a highly motivated and organized alternative market. Every man who joined Teach's crew signed the Articles, a binding contract that governed the ship through egalitarian rules. Contracts included workers' compensation tables. Losing an arm or leg meant a fixed payout from the common fund. Major decisions were determined by democratic vote, and prizes were split with rare equity. The captain took only 2 shares for every 1 given to a deckhand. This decentralized power structure provided a degree of crew stability and order that helped maintain his fleet through years of constant activity. To protect his profit margins, Teach developed a visual deterrent designed to end fights before they began. He grew out his thick black beard, tying it back with ribbons to create a distinctive silhouette. Before closing on a target, he would weave slow-burning hemp matches into the hair and light them, surrounding his face in a haze of smoke. The logic was simple. Cannon fire ruins a ship's hull and destroys valuable cargo. For Teach, the most profitable capture was the one that required no violence at all. Seeing this figure through the smoke often convinced merchant captains to surrender immediately, sparing their lives and keeping the cargo intact. The image of Blackbeard was a calculated, cost-saving tool that reduced the overhead of maritime combat. In May 1718, Teach used this intimidation to execute his most famous logistical move, anchoring his fleet across the mouth of Charlestown Harbor. He didn't demand gold. He blockaded the port to secure a chest of essential medical supplies for a crew suffering from fever. Once the medicine was delivered, he released the town's ships and hostages without harming a single person. Shortly after, he chose to leverage the royal pardon system, retiring to the quiet waters of North Carolina to live as a civilian. This move highlights his pragmatism. He understood when the legal risks were beginning to outweigh the rewards of the trade. The retirement didn't last. Pressure from neighboring Virginia led Governor Alexander Spotswood to bypass legal boundaries and dispatch a naval force specifically to hunt him down. Lieutenant Robert Maynard tracked Teach to the shallow water of Ocracoke Inlet, cornering the pirate sloop with a force twice its size. The theatrical intimidation that had won so many bloodless prizes failed against a military commander. The deck quickly became the site of hand-to-hand combat. Teach took 5 pistol wounds and 20 sword cuts before he finally fell on the quarterdeck. When the smoke from his beard cleared, the reality was a man who had been overwhelmed by a superior force in a brutal boarding action. Maynard hung Teach's severed head from his bowsprit, carrying it back to Virginia as proof that the monster was gone. But the myth was just beginning. Books like this General History of the Pirates soon hit the shelves, trading the facts of the tactician for the thrills of the demon. These stories amplified the fear and erased the democratic structure Teach had built, replacing a complex maritime manager with a simple villain. The image Edward Teach used to navigate the trade routes became his final historical legacy, eventually covering the tracks of the man who carefully calculated its effect.